David Andrew Weeb, founder of Spark Infinity niche-based Facebook group. David, what is going on in Spark Infinity?
Spark Infinity has been growing pretty rapidly since January. We started with literally 4 or 5 members, down to well over 1,400 people, serving creatives and creators, poets, artists, visual artists, musicians, actors, actresses.
What should members of Spark Infinity be prepared for? What are the live shows about?
We like to interview people and get a sense of who they are, the kind of things they do, highlight them, and especially their amazingness, their personality, their superpowers, whatever makes them great. That's what we like to highlight in those conversations.
So how could members of Spark Infinity also benefit from Bump Global?
For one thing, there are so many amazing heart-centered founders of various niche-based Facebook groups that if you wanted to be interviewed, you could just put yourself in the middle of the storm and find all kinds of groups to be featured in and interviewed in all day long. And the other thing is, if they have the desire and the work ethic to build their own niche-based Facebook group and blow it up, that's another opportunity that's waiting for them. And I only see things growing from there.
Spark Infinity, it's David here. I'm back. Great to see you again, although I can't literally see you. All I see is my camera and my screen in front of me. But it's great to be back with another live stream, and I hope you're having a really awesome day. Welcome to this incredible group called Spark Infinity that puts a highlight or spotlight on your creativity, your amazingness, and the person that you are. And we're able to, and more than willing, to accommodate that mission in a variety of different ways. If you want to come live with me, that's really the main way that we spotlight you, but it could be a conversation, like a podcast. It could be a show and tell. We're open to different formats. You could share a little bit of your artwork if that's all you want to do. I will even take people live with me now if I see some comments in the chat indicating that there are people who want to come live, share who they are and what they're about. So, and if you don't already know, like some of you might be seeing this on YouTube or elsewhere, we do stream to a lot of destinations. Spark Infinity is a Facebook group with over 2,000 members and growing. So if you'd like to be a part of that, you make sure to find the group Spark Infinity on Facebook. Now, today I'm going to continue reading from my first book, The New Music Industry. I got started with this earlier in the year when Spark Infinity was still brand new and we didn't have a ton of things going on. And to be fair, we don't have a lot lined up for this month per se. I am planning to travel to Calgary, and maybe that'll create some opportunities for some more conversations and some more people that want to go live with me. But when I first got started this year, it really was about creating that habit of showing up and doing live streams every day, or as many times as I could bear to go live in a day. So I'm really kind of getting back into a more regular habit. It's not like I have to do it. It's more, I've created a list of habits that I'm looking to keep to, And sometimes when you don't create a scope for your work, it can go one of two ways. One way is you plan way too much for yourself and you never get it all done. And the other way it tends to go is you don't plan enough. And you don't challenge yourself, and you don't grow, and you don't do things that continue to make things what they were or what they are. And I still think Spark Infinity holds a lot of potential. I still think it's a special place. But the way things are right now, or at least my vision for how things are going to continue for the moment, is I'm going to continue to go live, whether there's guests or not. Of course, if you want to be the guest on the show, as I already indicated, we're more than happy to go live with you. And all you got to do is drop a me in the chat or in the comments, and I will get in touch with you. But as I said, for today, I'm going to continue reading from my first book, The New Music Industry. I made it my goal to open source this book this year because, well, there's a new version coming, ultimately. That's not my first priority on my list. I've got some other things coming first, which are super exciting because at the end of the day, people are excited about new things, or they tend to be more excited about new things over improved things. And I want to improve this. It's really, really solid, but there are some little sections that are maybe out of date or could just be phrased better now that I've evolved into a better writer. So that's going to be cool. But I figured this version of the book, since it has been around, I can't believe it's actually is the 10-year anniversary of the music industry when I think about it. So it seems fitting that right here, right now, I'm open sourcing the whole thing. And we've gotten not quite halfway through, but we're getting there. And I was about to wrap up the chapter on music instruction when we last left off. So that's where I'll continue. And yes, I know it may not be terribly interesting for you to watch me read, but if this content is something that you want to tap into, or if it's something that engages you, then you could just have it on as an audio in the background, and I'm perfectly fine with that. So let's continue. 10 essential characteristics of successful music instructors. If you want to become a music instructor and pursue it as a career, there are certain characteristics that you'll need to cultivate. Some are intangible, which means you either have them or you don't. Not to say that these qualities cannot be developed, but they certainly can't be faked. Let's take a closer look at what it takes to become a successful music instructor. Number one, passion. Passion is an essential characteristic of a music instructor. However, when it comes to music and teaching, you can't really force it. Most of the time, you're either passionate about these things or you're not. As well, a passion for music doesn't always translate into a passion for teaching. A good teacher will have both. Passion can also mean the difference between feeling drained and burned out and feeling enthusiastic and optimistic at the end of the workday. 2, patience. Teaching is a process. Helping your students understand theory and musical concepts requires you to be patient and enduring. Not only will different students progress at different rates, they will also have different learning styles. You will have to tailor your lessons to suit the needs of the student and be patient with them even when they haven't practiced what they were assigned. If your students are younger, it's a good idea to get their parents involved wherever possible. 3, goal-oriented. In order to help your students proceed at a pace that feels natural and progressive to them, you will have to help them set realistic goals and usher them towards achievement. By extension, you will also have to be goal-oriented. You can't tell your students what to do unless you are also doing it. Work towards becoming the best example of what is possible for their sake. 4, love of people, students. Teaching requires you to be others-focused. Depending on which career route you take, the ages of students may vary, which does present some challenges. If you end up having to cater to a bigger age group, you will likely have to approach lessons a little differently, depending on the age of the student. Regardless, people's skills can only help you in this industry, and they are worth developing. If you want to be a great teacher, you'll have to be a people person. 5, love of music. A love of music should not be confused for passion, which was addressed earlier. You can be passionate about a particular genre or style of music without really having a love and appreciation for every type of music. You never know what your students may require of you, so you will have to remain open to learning things you don't know. If you want to be a teacher, you should be prepared to learn and absorb a variety of different styles of music. 6, organizational skills. Whether you are teaching classes, workshops, or individual lessons, you will need to be organized. You'll need to take notes on each of your students and take the time to understand how you can best serve them. Because you will likely have to create or retool curriculums for each of your students, you will have to get in the habit of keeping track of all of them. 7, preparedness. A good teacher will spend considerable amount of time in study and preparation before each lesson. It is usually fairly apparent when a teacher is winging it, and students tend not to respond to that very well. Though lessons are generally student-driven, that doesn't negate the necessity for you to become prepared with That doesn't negate the necessity for you to come prepared with material that your students can work on by default. You need to have a backup plan for when they have no idea where to go or what to do next. 8, adaptive personality. Not all of your students will progress at the same rate. Some will be slower, some will be faster. Some will be better visual learners, while others will be better auditory learners. You have to have a willingness to adapt to and work with every kind of student. Music can only be taught to an extent. After a certain point, it is up to the student to decide how far they want to take it. In short, you will have to learn to be adaptive depending on the student and the situation. At times, you may end up having to break the flow of a lesson to take your student or students in a different direction. Whatever the case, you will need to stay alert and figure out how you can best guide your students in the direction they need to go. 9, a solid work ethic. Teachers need to have a solid work ethic to keep on top of all their students. Let's say, for example, that you needed to learn an entire guitar solo from one of your students for their next lesson. In order to be able to do that in a timely manner, you need to have the skills to be able to break the solo down into pieces and learn it quickly. You also need to be willing to work hard to get it done. It may seem like a lot of pressure in the short term, but in the long term, it will also benefit your playing. So it's a one stone, two bird situation. 10, logistical skills. If you are pursuing the private instruction route, you will need to be able to organize your schedule and have a solid handle on logistics. This is especially true if you have to drive from one home to another. You'll need to account for and create some margin for driving times, breaks, and meals. Conclusion. It has often been said that if you want to master something, you should teach it. I don't know if I totally agree with that sentiment, but teaching definitely helps. But teaching definitely does help to reinforce the concepts you already know and understand. Due to the fact that teaching always involves other people, you will likely have to work on your people skills as well. One of the paradoxes of instruction is that the best players don't necessarily make for the best teachers. Teacher has to be able to simplify and break down concepts for their students. They have to keep a beginner's mindset and remember what it was like to be new to the instrument. If you want to grow to become a great teacher, this is a requirement. In an ideal world, a teacher will have both skill and passion. If you don't see it as a career, then you won't necessarily require both. What I like: workshops. Some of my favorite teaching experiences have occurred at group lessons and or workshops because they energize me. I guess it could be because there's an element of performance to it. You have to connect with the people in front of you, and you have to establish yourself as a credible source of information. Workshops also tend to pay a lump sum that you simply cannot earn in individual lessons. Connections. I really enjoy building friendships with my students as well as other teachers. Some have even become long-term friends. Regardless of the situation, it's almost always the people you remember and treasure, and not the work or the event itself. Opportunity. You never know when new opportunities might come to you as a result of teaching. They might come directly through your students, or if you teach at a store, they might even come from the manager or other employees, especially if that store is considered a community hub. You will likely learn about local music venues and events, and you might even have the chance to open for another band that is headed by one of your colleagues. What I don't like: exhaustion. Let's face it, nobody likes burning out. I think teaching tends to use a lot of mental and emotional energy. If you are able to pace yourself, or you just love working with people, it may energize you, but otherwise it's good to know that teaching will demand something of you, like any work. In-home lessons. There are some companies that offer in-home lessons to their clients. Teachers are required to drive to the homes of their students and teach them on site. Typically, you can make more money this way, but you may end up driving a lot more too. If you live in a smaller town or a dense city, this probably won't prove to be as big of an issue. If you are in a bigger city, however, it can get out of hand fast. You also have to think about the fact that you also have to think about the fact that you will be spending money. You will be spending more money on gas and car maintenance, almost negating any extra money you might earn. Action steps. Decide. Determine whether or not teaching is something you want to do, part-time or full-time. Keep in mind that you will often be working evenings and weekends when you might prefer to record or write songs. If you love teaching, however, you will love these hours. If you love teaching, however, you will love these hours because your days will be free. Or if you do choose to teach in a school, you will have more time in the evenings and the weekends. Commit. If you decided to become a teacher, commit to learning more about music and your instrument on a daily basis. Not only will this help you with your lessons, you will also become a better musician in the process. Should you choose to do something other than teaching down the line, more knowledge can only help you. Create a lesson book. Though you may have to approach every lesson a little differently, you will still find it useful to store all of your lessons, handouts, and curriculums in one place. You could use a binder, a spiral notebook, a Moleskine, or whatever works for you. A binder works great because you can always add or remove pages later on. One of the reasons to have a lesson book is so that you can refer to it when you're not sure where to take one of your students next. Okay, so that's where we are going to stop for today. And the next chapter is on copywriting, which I think is going to be a lot of fun too. And a lot of musicians might be going, copywriting, what is that? And how relevant is it to me? Well, you might just be surprised. And the examples that I give in the book, I think, will be very instructive. So we will get to that next time. But as for today, I hope you're having an amazing time out there, Spark Infinity. And if you want to come live with me, just let me know. We also got a self-serve booking option, and everybody's been raving about it. Everyone has been telling me that it's great. So all you got to do is let me know. I can send that link to you. You can get yourself set up like that. Thanks so much. See you again soon.